Welcome to Cook with Joy. Well, it's kind of becoming Cook with Jake and Joy and Derek, of course, and everybody. Started out as Cook with Joy, and this is our 5th season of cooking shows. Can you believe that, Derek?
I can't believe it's already been 5 seasons.
I know, it's really crazy.
How many calories have I taken in those 5 seasons?
And we love bringing you vegan, gluten-free recipes every week, and we do that because there just aren't very many cooking shows out there that do that for you. So
that's why everyone should come to this show.
That's right. Send this to your friends, share it with them, let them know that it's the greatest thing, and we give you really great recipes. This season, we're focusing on pretty easy recipes. Today's recipe is a little bit off that, where it's not super easy. It's a little bit more challenging, but still. What? It's still super easy. It's still something that you can do. And what's great about this recipe is it's something that you can keep in your refrigerator before you bake it and even after you bake it. So like if you made it at the beginning of the week, it would last you the whole week. We're going to get started with this, but I want to give you a little bit of background. Our family started eating a pretty almost completely plant-based diet in about 2006. And so, of course, some of the holidays were a concern. What did we do about turkey? Everybody wants to have turkey. This recipe is awesome. I discovered it at a restaurant called Real Food Daily in Los Angeles, and it became so popular that she started making these dishes for people to come and get, and then she just wrote a cookbook and you could make your own. So that's what we've been doing now since 2006. We make this recipe almost every year, and it's called Faux turkey breasts. Now, Jake loves these. Jake is not a real participant in making the Thanksgiving meal, but she loves to decorate. And we just spent Thanksgiving with them, and she made a beautiful table. Jake, you want to tell us about that?
Yes, absolutely. So as you've seen from these episodes, I'm not so much into the cooking part of things, especially Thanksgiving and holidays, because it gets kind of crazy. But I love setting the table. It is like, I look forward to it every year for both Christmas and Thanksgiving. I get so excited. I spend weeks ahead of time looking on Pinterest, going to Target, looking at all the things that they have. I rent linens. I used to rent china and rent flatware, but now I have it all. And so that's my favorite thing to do, is make sure that the place settings and the table look incredible. Now, when people in my family say, "Can you help make this?" I'm like, "No, I can't at the table." Once the table's done, they're like, "Hey, so now can you help?" No, I'm not done with the table. That's kind of my out. I'm like, I'm contributing by making the table look beautiful. Cooking, not so much.
Okay, but just remember, you've got to have some food to put on the table, right? And that's where we come in. All right, we're going to start with a food processor because that's where everything good comes from, right?
That thing is almost the bane of your existence.
Sometimes it is. This recipe calls for using the little, where is that little piece? It's the little piece on top that's like a grater part, but I couldn't find the little hole that sticks it on, so I'm just going to use this piece, and it's going to work just fine because that's how we roll here on Cook with Joy. All right, we're going to start out with some tempeh. Do you know what tempeh is?
I don't.
It's fermented.
It's in right next to Phoenix, right?
It's fermented soybeans, and it's really good for you because the fermentation with the soy is what really makes soy be much better for you and much easier for your body to assimilate. Really high in isoflavones. Don't believe the crap you've been reading out there that soy's not good for you. That is the dairy industry just trying to poison our brains against something that people have been eating for thousands and thousands of years. That's excellent. Now, do avoid GMO soy, avoid highly processed soy. Look for soy this is so minimally processed. This is just basically soybeans that have been fermented, had some rice added to them, and then they're pressed into these patties. It's fabulous stuff, and there's so many things that you can make with tempeh. It's a really good alternative for people who are not eating animal products. We're also going to add some tofu, and we want to make sure that we're draining this. Once again, we've got non-GMO tofu, right?
That's right.
And we are going to squeeze the water out of it.
Does anything have GMOs in anymore?
Yeah, like stuff that's fed to animals. They use soybeans that are non-GMO. You'll probably find it in some like canola oil, not canola oil, but oils that are using soybeans. Just look on the back. If it's not labeled organic or non-GMO soy, chances are it is GMO soy. So we're going to squish the water out of that. That's a technical term, squish.
Squish, yep.
Yeah, we just want to get as much
I could do
of
this
that.
part pretty easily.
You can do this part really easily. I kind of like it. It actually has this really cool texture. So we'll add that to the food processor, and we'll squish the rest of it out of this next one. Okay, and we're going to blend this up in the food processor. We're just going to pulse it until it's kind of crumbly. All right. Awesome. Let's see if we can make this top work.
You need some help?
Well, last time it was not the top, it was your cord. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn it on. All right, that looks perfectly crumbly. That's awesome. And now we're going to mix a little Dijon mustard.
Love mustard.
I know you
love,
do.
Love, love, love.
So we're going to do, let me dump this out. We're going to add a tablespoon and a half, very carefully measured, as I like to do. I'm going to put a little bit more because I know you like mustard. I think you'll like it more. It's just a touch more. And then we're going to also add some miso. And miso is once again fermented soybeans. This is a reduced sodium miso. So if you're trying to cut down on your salt or you just don't like really salty stuff, this is the stuff that you want to use. And I'm going to be adding, let's see, I've got 1/3 of a cup in a full recipe, and I'm making a half a recipe. So once again, I'll very technically measure out what I think is a half of 1/3 of a cup. Do you agree, Derek?
Do the quick math on half of 1/3 of a cup.
Half of 1/3 of a cup would be 1/6 of a cup.
14.
14? I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right.
I think that's totally wrong. All right, so we've got this stuff blended up, and now we're going to do the hard part, but I already did it ahead of time because this recipe calls for 1,000,000 onions. It actually only calls for 2 large onions chopped up, but that takes a really long time to do, so I chopped them up ahead of time, and now we're going to saute those in some canola oil. And when I read the recipe, I thought, canola oil, why are they using canola oil? And so I researched it, and the reason they are is because it browns a lot better. The olive oil actually is not great for cooking. Olive oil is great for putting on dressings, but it can't really stand the high heat. So cooking with olive oil does not make a lot of sense, but using it on salads and that sort of thing. I like to use broth for cooking a lot, but for these onions, I'm going to follow the recipe and use the oil because we want this to be really rich tasting. I say this often on our shows that we only have 3 sets of we have thousands of different taste buds, but the 3 dominant ones are fat, salt, and sugar. And so if you can hit those 3 dominant taste buds, you're really going to satisfy your palate, and your body's not going to be saying, hey, where's the turkey? It's going to be happy because you got some fat and some salt on the tongue. So let me get the frying pan out and we'll fry up some onions. Ooh. So we're cooking this until it's translucent, which it is just about now. And it takes about 8 minutes to get it there. And then we're going to add the other ingredients to it. And this is going to get so yummy. Okay, now we're going to put this whole thing together. You're going to love it. First thing we're going to add is this holiday herb mixture. And this is part sage. It's got 1/2 cup of sage, 1/4 cup of marjoram, 1/4 cup of thyme, and 1/4 cup of rosemary. And you use a mortar and pestle to mull it all together. And I wasn't going to take the time to do that today because I did this before. I made this jar of it last year, and it lasts forever. You just want to keep it tightly covered. And so I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of that. This I am measuring because you can get it, a little bit too strong and then people don't like it, or you can get it too not strong enough. All right, so I'm adding that. And then I'm going to also add the miso and Dijon mixture that we did. Get that fork out of there.
Whoa.
What?
Get the fork out of there.
Add that all up and make it kind of nice and smooth. And then we're going to add the tempeh and tofu mixture to that. And that's what's going to give it almost that look of, well, it doesn't look like meat, but it definitely has a look of something that could be made into meat. That's something that could be made into a patty. All right, let's add this. See how crumbly and nice that is? And I didn't even need to use that grater that they said I had to. It worked just fine. Okay, now let's add that together.
That looks good just by itself.
It kind of does, doesn't it? What does it look like to you? Cheese?
I mean, from here, it kind of looks like an Asian rice dish. Even though it's one of those things. But
yeah, so we're just going to mix that until it's really nicely mixed together. And then we're going to make it into patties. You're going to love it. You could also make these into little meatballs and use them for, if you were having, I probably wouldn't put the herb mixture. I'd probably, like, if you wanted to do them into meatballs, you'd use like Italian spices. You could use oregano and some, stuff that you'd put on a pizza or on pasta. And that's actually a good idea. We can do that next season. I'm loving that idea.
Is that something I could do and Jake could do?
That's something that you and Jake could, well,
Maybe if we teamed up.
You could do it, but would you do it? That's the question. Anybody can cook. You were telling me that, Derek, that anybody can cook. It's just a matter of following recipes.
Yep.
And anybody can do that. It's just, will you do it? And that kind of is the trend. It's why people are buying, they're buying food at Whole Foods. They're going to fast food restaurants. And some of it's healthy, but you notice if you buy healthy food at Whole Foods, it's pretty darn expensive versus making it yourself. So I just think that people want to have faster foods available, and that's why this season, that's what we've really focused on. Let me get a Pyrex dish to put this into, and then we'll make it into the patties. Okay, so this is what it looks like after we take it out of the food processor, and you can actually keep it like this for up to a week in the refrigerator if you're not like ready to make them. I recommend keeping it in this form because when you make them into patties, they just don't keep as well. So keep them in this unformed shape if you're not going to use them right away, and then put them together in the patties, and we're going to bake them. Let me get a cooking sheet. And once again, I'm using this silicone sheet. I would use parchment paper as well. I like using the silicone sheet because I can reuse it over and over and over again, and I don't have to put any oil underneath the patties. I'm going to put a little on top just for flavor and to help them brown, but you don't have to put them underneath when you're using either parchment paper or a silicone sheet. So we're going to take about 1/4 cup per patty, and this is so neat. I thought these were just, when I first became a vegan, I was just floored at how these turned out. I had these at the Real Food Daily restaurant that I told you about. They look exactly like little chicken breasts, little turkey breasts. So you want to just kind of do this by eye. It calls for 1/4 cup, but I'm taking a little bit more than that.
Wait, you're not measuring it exactly?
I'm not measuring it exactly.
What does this show come to?
Yeah, I know. So you see how cute that is? And someone who's better at shaping probably can make them even look cuter. But I think those are just fantastic.
Do you want to put like a little beak on it or something?
No, I don't want to put a little beak on it. I don't pretend that I'm eating chicken.
What's the benefit of shaping it kind of like a turkey breast? Is it just so...
Well, my goal always, Derek, is to, and I really try to turn people on to plant-based eating. And the more attractive you can get it, the more like it looks like when we made the hamburgers and the hot dogs, they looked like real hamburgers and hot dogs. And so probably in your brain, you were thinking, oh, I'm eating a hamburger. And you weren't going, oh, I'm eating like beans or something that I don't want to naturally
Pea protein.
eat. Right.
Well, like the faux chicken we did had the grill marks in it, even though it didn't really need it.
Right. And we're not going to put grill marks on these, but I have made these almost every year for Thanksgiving since, I don't know, like 2006, 2007.
There's been no revolts?
No, I mean, people still eat turkey because like my son-in-law likes to make turkey, and so people still have it. But for me, I mean, I'm always the kind of person that likes all the side dishes that come with the holiday meals. I don't particularly care about having a great big entree, but this makes a great entree if you're going to have an entree. And what's cool about these is that you could make them, you can save them and make them into little sandwiches too. It'd be great, with lettuce and tomato, and I think you would like that, Derek.
I will take some of these with me.
Will you? We'll see about that. Okay, now we've got them all ready, lined up on the sheet. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil. Remember, it's that no-calorie olive oil. That's so
Zero
funny.
calorie.
0 calorie. This is just going to make them brown on top a little bit, and that's going to be super fun. And we're going to pop them in the oven at 350 for 35 minutes. Let's go. Oh my gosh, these look so beautiful, Derek. Look how brown and nice. Look at it.
Oh.
Gorgeous. And I don't know if can our viewers smell these? Has that happened yet?
Special kind of camera.
They look great, and I think they're going to taste great. What I would suggest and how we do it at Thanksgiving is we put it nicely on a plate like that, which is a little bit too hot to dish up yet. I got to let them sit for a little bit. So we put them nicely on a plate, and then we're going to top them with gravy, delicious mushroom gravy that is vegan, and some mashed potatoes. In my second season, I think we did that kale and butternut squash stuffing. That is fantastic. You could pair that with that. You could have like some kind of a braised green, and I don't know anybody who would complain about that as a turkey Thanksgiving dinner. Also, these would make great sandwiches. These would make great snacks. I mean, I'm so thrilled that I made these. So I like to make this really pretty, and you could, if you were to serve these to a large group, you could put them on a pretty plate like this, maybe put some greenery around the outside. Jake would find a really pretty way to make this look good because that's what her forte is. Oh, you know what else would make it look great is cranberries.
Oh, yeah.
Cranberries would make it look beautiful. So we hope that you'll try this recipe. Let us know how it goes. Let us know if your family decides that they can do a meatless Monday, or maybe they have 2 days a week that they start to get rid of the meat in their life and start adding more plants. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what kind of recipes you'd like us to make. And I'm so glad that you tuned in to Cook with Jake and Joy and Derek. Brooke, and everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.